So today's guest is Rhiannon Franz, who is the founder of RhiVive Marketing. She has 2 decades of experience in advertising and a master's degree in communications. She understands the value of distinct personal branding and how this helps serve professionals, or sorry, how this helps service professionals up level their business. So Rhiannon, thank you very much for being on. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Okay, well,
Doing
I'm
great.
glad to hear that you're excited. I know we talked off air that like this is your first podcast experience. I was like, yeah, it's either gonna be an absolute disaster or it's gonna be great. So
I'm sure it's going to
we'll
be
see how
great.
it goes before the end of it. So yeah, I mean, if you want to give us a little bit more context off of your bio, just who you are, who you work with, how you got to doing what you're doing. I mean, the floor is yours for that.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've been doing my own business in various different aspects for about 8 different years, 8 years of different businesses. I've had real estate businesses. I've bought and sold real estate. I've hosted Airbnbs. I've been a super host for Airbnb in Austin, Texas. And then I've also thought about starting an app for a while. That didn't really work out. I've kind of gone in various different directions while also having a job in corporate. I've worked in corporate advertising for 20 years. I've worked at four of the top four holding companies, both in New York and LA, mostly in automotive, but I've also worked in CPG and entertainment. And yeah, it's just definitely been a major part of my life is the corporate side of things. And I would say over the last specifically 9 months, I just decided to try all of my effort into a marketing agency using all of that decades of marketing experience doing my own rentals and my own business and marketing everybody else's clients and trying to do it on my own. What I have noticed is that service businesses are truly people I can help. I find I feel such warmth and growth in myself when I'm helping professional services or a service-based company. So, a real estate agent versus a landscape company, they're people trying to run their day-to-day lives and they just don't know how to do marketing. They don't want to do marketing. They just want to hire an expert to do it. I'm feeling a true sense of gratification out of the advertising and marketing industry that I had completely gotten a lackluster feeling out of for doing it for decades. So it's been quite a great transition for me.
Got it. So it's a little bit more of like I'm actually like fulfilled here versus just kind of getting money for it. Yeah, perfect. Got it.
Exactly.
So I think let's just dive right into it because I know you've sent some things to me prior through the application to like be on here, etc. So when I asked you kind of like, okay, well, what are, let's just say the head trash or the mindset elements that you feel like you're struggling with? So your answer to that was overcoming the inability to read the label on the outside of the jar, like when I'm inside it, right? And I've heard that ad description before, like, you can't see the label on your inside. So tell me, like, what does that actually mean to you specifically? Because that can be taken so many different ways.
I think it started coming up with niching down this concept of you have to have a specific niche of people that you help because it's easier essentially to market yourself. Did start talking more to startup companies, e-commerce companies, because that had been more of my background and more of my experience. And it just sort of wasn't landing in what I was trying to sell. And so I was having a difficult time trying to figure out how to market myself, being a marketer, which seemed like it should just sort of flow or come naturally. And talking to so many different people, realizing that that is sort of the case for pretty much everybody, is we think that we know how to talk about ourselves because it is us, but at the same time, when we're trying to come up with something as simple as sort of an old school elevator pitch, it's really difficult for people to come up with, okay, how do I say this in such a concise way in a sentence? Whereas on the other side of that, when I worked in sales, I did sales for publishers, for tech companies for 7 years. It was so easy to do an elevator pitch for somebody else's product. I could do it all day long. And I remembered back to that going, how come it was so easy for me to sell dynamic ads and technologies, creative stacks to huge corporate companies, but I cannot sell a marketing done for you service to a landscaping company. It just was really a struggle for me why in my own brain I couldn't figure out how to come up with that specific marketing for myself. And so that's been a challenge that I've been working on.
Okay. So What's your kind of intuitive feel with regards to why that is the case?
It comes from a limiting belief inside of me that I
Hmm.
feel like what if I can't do it? What if I can't really help these people because I'm so used to doing big corporations? So I could sell Xbox, right? I worked on Xbox. I could sell a Halo game versus a Forza game and understand the mindset of a gamer and how they're two totally different audiences and how to come up with specific strategies for each one of those games. But I was second guessing myself when it was coming to helping somebody one on one. And it was all in my own head because it's all fundamentally the same thing. It's all still marketing, it's all still branding. And once I started practicing it, it started getting easier. And so it was my own limiting belief getting in the way, but then connecting it and trying to find that way to describe what I do for people uh, in this new way because it's not a corporate job anymore. Now
Hmm.
it's me, and
Hmm.
it was me getting my own way, number one, and number two, figuring out how to formulate that for myself.
Okay. So it sounds like this is because you're kind of talking about this like it's in the past. So is this something that you feel like you've solved, or it's something that is
It's
still an issue?
it's getting better.
Okay. So on a scale of like this is like a mosquito problem where it's like annoying and like a when it comes around I can like bat it away to like this is like a there's a poisonous snake in front of me problem. Like where would it be on that spectrum?
Oh, it's a mosquito bite. It's definitely, I'm still refining it. I feel like I can always make things better. I can revive it over and over again, but I feel like it's landing better now, having gone through this process several times, starting to feel momentum in the business, this
Hmm.
specific business that feels really good, the positive feedback from clients. I've taken, I would say, a handful of clients through. In my process, I do a workshop to roadmap, and I take them through a roadmap of where they are now and where they want to go. And
Hmm.
some of the more recent feedback has been fantastic. I mean, somebody was like, "You're going to make me cry. How did you get my brand so fully? I didn't even see that in myself," was something that I heard. And it was sort of lightning for me going, okay, this really is working and I really can help service-based businesses. And that's when the niching kind of started clicking in my head and going, oh, okay, I see why it's so important to niche down so specifically to those people that I really think I can help because I also am feeling a sense of fulfillment out of it.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's a iterative process and it's getting better, but I still feel like I can take it to the next level. I'm just not sure what that next level is yet.
Okay, perfect. So I appreciate the honesty with that.
Yeah.
I know it's a weird analogy of like the mosquito and the
No.
snake.
It's
So,
it's really smart.
okay, perfect. So are you okay if I reflect something
Yeah.
back to you with that or like challenge that in a certain way? Okay. So if let's just say you have this opportunity to come onto a platform like this, and it's like, okay, like this is something that can help me dive into something that I'm really struggling with. 200 other business owners have been on here before me. Most of them have gotten value out of this. And then presented with the opportunity, I come in with a mosquito problem that for the most part is like kind of solved. It's always going to iterate because I'm going to evolve. So like that's a normal part of the process. So why do you think there's a part of you that's kind of like, okay, well, let me just throw this way because like I've always more or less overcome it and like let's just see what happens versus okay, well, what would be like a poisonous snake problem? Like what comes up for you with that reflection?
Oh, that's really good. I like that. It's taking that to the next level then is what is the snake problem for me right now.
Okay.
It's figuring out, okay, I can help service-based businesses.
So even
I
before we get
can,
into what you would define as the snake
okay,
in that instance,
yes,
why is there a part of you that plays it safe?
always has. I
Okay.
know that that's 100% why I spent 20 years in corporate America
Okay.
and haven't
So
gone out on my own. Yes.
if you're talking about the next level
Yeah.
and in anticipation of potentially exploring that next level, that part kicks in is like, let's just play safe. Let me give him the answer that like I've already overcome. So if he like pokes and prods at it, I already got the answer, so it's all good. Okay. So what do you think is the first roadblock to you getting to the next level?
Let's see, that's a really good question. I think the time to focus on it, making the time in my day to workshop the need that I'm fulfilling for my clients and how do I market specifically to that need in a better way.
Hmm. And is that really a bigger issue than the fact that there's a part of you that wants to play it safe and holds back?
Yes, because I think that is going to sort of tie all of the other things that I want to do together,
Hmm.
which is I want to do speaking, I want to be on podcast interviews, I want to be seen as an authority in marketing and communications. There's all of these things that I know how to do and things that I've done for clients. And so this sort of, I guess, big idea is the next step for me. Is it's more than selling and done for you marketing services to service-based businesses. It's what is that big idea of why somebody would come to me versus 20, 30, 60 other marketing business identity professionals out there.
Okay, perfect. So, and I know I'm kind of harping on this idea, so you can let me know if like, okay, like we need to move on or whatever, but do you think playing safe is something that is actually like an issue for you, or you think that's just like, whatever. It's like part of who I am, but I'm aware of it. I really just need to focus on the business part.
I I know it's a part of who I am and I know it's something that I want to work on. I think that it is coming from a place of fear that if
Hmm.
I put myself too far out there, like what is it's not going to land or it's not going to be the right response. What is right anyway?
Great question. Yes.
Yeah, so it's like I know, but I don't. I would honestly say it also comes down to time. It's like the time it takes to think through this strategy for myself is just sort of on the back burner, but I know how important it is that it just is lingering.
Hmm.
I guess that's why it's not quite the mosquito, but it's the snake that I know is there and I don't yeah.
And what would you define as that snake? Like, would it be the fear, or would it be the fear and something else? Like, what is that?
It's the lack of time and the fear.
Okay. So define lack of time frame. What do you mean? What do you mean when you say lack of time?
Well, I'm a new mom, so I have a 3-year-old toddler, and
Congratulations.
thank you. I dedicate a lot of time to being present, being a present mom as much as possible. He is in school till 3 o'clock, and he is pretty self-sufficient as a single child, an only child. He will. I'm one and only, so he will be a single child, and and I know how important that is to me. So it's one of those balancing acts of being a mom of like the importance of me being focused and giving him time that he needs and then the amount of time in the business that I'm focused and dedicated. So it's finding that balance because
Hmm.
there's no real such thing as moms do everything. It's like you got to turn one off and turn one on for a little while. So time is a really big constraint for me right now. I think back to being, younger and not having a kid in corporate America, and I could work a corporate job and have a side hustle. I always did, and so it was easier to do. And now I just don't have that luxury of time anymore.
Got it. So we actually just had like my son is the same thing. First one, he's 6 months old, so I get the whole craziness of balancing
Yes.
parenting and business and all of that. So everything I'm about to ask you, I am not downplaying that experience at all because it's a crazy experience to go
Yeah.
through, right?
Yeah.
So, and it was going to be with in reference to what you just said, which is like, okay, well, I've had a corporate career, which is not like a whatever corporate. Like it's like you done a lot of cool stuff, which means you had a lot of, late nights, you had a lot of stuff to do, you had a lot of responsibilities. And then even in that, you also juggled all these other businesses and things that you did that also took up, were like a part-time job in and of itself. So like when I hear you describe that, I'm like, this doesn't sound to me like someone who has trouble managing time. Now you might have trouble managing, maybe where your attention goes or prioritization, like that's a totally different discussion. But like just in terms of what you've shared, I'm like, I think push come to shove, you're gonna know how to navigate the timepiece. Okay.
Yeah.
So I see you nodding your head. So okay, well, what's landing for you with that before I go on?
Yeah, it's like the amount of time a typical person needs to get a job done. I definitely can do it like so much faster than a lot of people. So that's one. Two is I know fundamentally how to block and stack time and how to get pace out so that I can get into that flow state specific days of the week, right? Like there are certain practices of being a business owner that I've fundamentally been able to successfully do to block that stuff out. So I guess you're right. It is also that fear side of it where making the time to focus on coming up with my big idea is sort of at the
Right.
bottom of the priority list.
Correct. So again, thank you for your honesty because that's right. Like I could start going down the rabbit hole of like, let me read more productivity things because like that's probably what I
Right.
need to do. Right. And yet you just said it, right? The actual issue is I'm avoiding the big ideas because the big ideas are going to lead to something that I fear. So
Yeah.
I think now we're moving closer to what this is actually about because it's not about the mosquito problem you came in here with, which is I don't know how to niche down. It's not about time, right? These are all beautiful rationalizations our brain will come up to like keep us from the thing we don't want to look at.
Hmm.
So the first hint we've had to that is, okay, my big idea. So tell me more
Hmm.
about that. What is your big idea? What is the thing that you fear?
Well, I haven't nailed my big idea yet. That's what I fear.
Okay.
um, I I I think that's why it's tied into the reading the label on the outside of the jar,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that there's something fundamentally in there that I want to put a stake in the ground, that I want to talk about, that I want to be known for. I want to be the
Okay.
speaker that talks
Perfect. So
about
if we just
XYZ.
guessed that you knew what that is, let's just assume you knew.
Okay,
What would
let's
that?
assume I know it. And what's the question?
Like, let's just assume, for the sake of hypotheticals, you knew
Okay.
exactly what that thing was. What would be
Okay.
your first guess to the thing I'm going to put the stake in the ground and talk about?
Uh, I guess navigating corporate America. Like, I feel
Okay.
like there's a big component of the work, I don't know, environment, the especially working in ad agencies, New York, LA, Detroit. I've worked in major areas of
Mm-hmm.
this country, and it's all a very toxic environment. It's
Mm-hmm.
all very I don't know, it's definitely those there's a lot of memes about the it's the people who work the hardest sort of bubble to the top, not necessarily the ones who are the best at the work, but bubble to
Mm-hmm.
the top.
Mm-hmm.
So there's managers and mid managers that are not actually managing their teams
Okay.
or helping them grow. So I feel like there's a lot that I can do to help, I don't know, maybe educate, or if I was somebody that had some, that I could read a book that talked about how to navigate the corporate structure when I was in my, I don't know, early 30s, mid 20s, I think it
Mm-hmm.
would have been helpful to know, like, oh, okay. So
And do you want to be the person that writes that next book?
I'm getting like choked up even
Yeah,
can you
I
hear
know.
me? Like like the thought of doing that sounds so terrifying to me because
Okay, so even just pause right there, right?
yeah.
I don't know how whatever woo or emotional like you get in general, right? But whenever I'm coaching somebody and there's a somatic reaction, there's like a body reaction to what we're doing, right? I'll oftentimes look at, okay, well, what's behind that?
Hmm.
Is a very common one where it's all about expression.
Hmm.
I can't express the thing that I want to say, right? And when did that pop up? So it was like your fear meter was like, oh, okay, we're talking about the mosquito thing, and then increasingly, as I kept prompting you more towards, okay, well, what is it this actually about? Oh, it's
Hmm.
about speaking. Oh, well, it's about I would really want to speak about navigating corporate America. Okay, what's
Hmm.
that really about? Oh, you want to speak about the realities of what that world is actually like? Want to help people navigate the craziness of what? Okay, now I get all choked up to say that.
Hmm.
What do you think is actually on your heart that you are suppressing to express?
The challenge of it, it's really effing hard to go through that
Okay,
experience.
define it. What do you
Mm.
mean when you say it's really effing hard to go through? And you can swear here if you want. I have no.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
It's, little things down to how to deal with an HR complaint.
Okay,
How
so I'm
do
gonna
you,
pause you right there. Not because that's not relevant. I
right?
totally get that it is. I want you to flip the lens onto yourself.
Okay.
What is really hard for me to express about the things that are on my heart that I want to say?
Cool. The emotional journey that I went through
Okay. So there's a
from
part of you that wants
going,
to speak about the
yes,
truth of your
yes,
experience. Okay.
yeah,
Beautiful.
okay, wow, I love that.
Okay.
Yes, and I guess help others feel not alone when they're going through it.
Hmm.
And but yeah, the difficult part is remembering the sort of traumatic experiences
Okay.
of navigating that corporate structure and the challenges of it. The challenges of being in a woman in a corporate structure have been difficult.
Okay.
And
Do
yeah,
you
and
think,
then I
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, and then I so I think there's something there. I think that that could be helpful, but then I get like, yeah, but is that really going to help anybody? Like, okay, that's just my personal experience, but that doesn't mean that right?
Right.
And so then I
Because you're the only person that's ever dealt with toxic corporate environments that has a lot of like Machiavellian things and like people that shouldn't be in leadership positions are actually, like you're the only one that's ever gone through that experience for sure. Right. And I know I'm making light of it, but just to kind of like
No, I
the
appreciate
tent
it. Yes.
internally. But yeah, like literally somebody's going through that moment right now. Right. Like
Right. Right.
it's definitely a real.
100%.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. So with that, if we zoom out even a little bit, knowing that
Hmm.
this is actually closer to the truth that you're hiding from, do
Hmm.
you actually want to have a business where you're coaching people on niching down and, branding and all of the things? Or do you actually want to speak and or coach about navigating that corporate world?
I think I'd rather do the speaking and coaching about navigating the corporate world.
Okay, so now we're getting into, if you ever read The Big Leap, my zone of
Yes.
excellence,
Right.
okay, is branding, niching, marketing, etc. But my zone of genius, which we're always
Right.
afraid to step into, is
100%.
actually this whole thing around speaking, coaching around this stuff, helping people navigate the craziness of that world.
Nice. You're good at this.
Not my first rodeo. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's coming up for you with that?
I mean, it's definitely been a goal of mine to do speaking more on that level, to be more of a consultant, to be more of, yeah, somebody who helps other people. I love The Big Leap, and it's literally something I just finished reading a couple months ago, but or this year, I should say, and trying to figure that out. Like, what is that thing? Because I do feel like I'm sitting in that zone of excellence. I know I can help people with branding. I know I've been doing this for 20 years, and it's getting more comfortable in this specific business. As I mentioned, I've had a bunch of other businesses. So this one is like, okay, I know I can eventually make profit off of this business, and this is good for me for right now.
Hmm.
But I know that this isn't ultimately my big idea, my big thing.
Correct. So were you ever really not clear on your big idea, or were you just actually afraid to voice it?
Afraid to voice it, I
Okay.
think. Yeah.
So there's a fear aspect coming up
Yeah.
again,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So do you think that right now, who you are is actually somebody that can be the person that creates a platform around navigating the corporate environment?
100%. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And what evidence do you have for that when it took us essentially 20 minutes to get to what it is you actually want to do?
Because I'm still so unsure that it's gonna be helpful or
Right. Okay.
make
So
me
pause right
money.
there, right? The question was, are you the type of person right now that can make this dream come true? Of course, no problem at all. Okay. But I'm actually just not sure that somebody's right. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason I keep going back and forth with you is
Yeah.
because like part of your protection is that you're really smart. You know the right answer. You're quick on your feet, and that rationalization is always the thing that's going to mask the feeling,
Yeah.
right? So like I
100%.
feel fear. Okay, let me make a joke and laugh. Like I feel fear, let me make a smart remark. I feel fear, let me give a like an intelligent explanation, right? And this is
Hmm.
not even a judgment call. It's just like I work with smart people all the time, and they do this all the time, right? So again, what lands for you with that?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely my own limiting belief of believing that people will care and if I could make money off of it. Yeah.
Right. So those are the limiting beliefs. Like, will people
Yes.
care? Can I actually make money off of it?
Yeah.
If you look at what was stopping you today to even speak the truth, was
Hmm.
it your mind or was it actually your emotions?
My emotions.
Okay, perfect.
Hmm.
I agree. Which one specifically?
I mean, definitely fear.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think definitely coming down to just not believing that anyone will care. Why would anyone care?
Okay. And if you were to go out into the world as you are now with these limiting beliefs, with the fear, talking about this stuff, what do you think is your ability to actually voice it in a way that people will actually care?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I'm not ready for it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you again for the honesty. And
Yeah.
two, so why do you think that answer was so different in comparison to when I asked you, okay, like are you the person right now that can actually make this dream come true?
I guess thinking about it in a different way
Okay.
because
And what's that different way?
the different way is the actually the marketing side of it and the time to come up with the plan, formulate the idea, formulate the talking points, formulate the fears, frustrations, needs, and wants of my audience, like my whole process that I do
Yeah, but
for
you know all that.
clients.
So if that was the roadblock, you would have done it already because like that's your bread and butter. You know that.
That's true. Hmm. I don't know. I guess I just I guess that's a great question. I don't know what my I'm getting in my own way.
Okay. How do you normally handle fear?
I usually bulldoze through it.
Hmm. Except
Uh,
when you play it safe and then come on with topics that you've already overcome. So is that the
yeah.
bulldozing you're talking about, or you're talking about something else?
Um, yeah, I guess, bringing it back to being a mom, I think I bulldozed things a lot more before I
Mhm.
became a mom.
Okay.
It was a lot easier. I didn't have as much at stake.
Okay. Fair. And did you bulldoze on behalf of other people? Meaning
Oh,
selling Xbox, and I was like, yeah, I believe in Xbox. I believe in Halo. It makes sense. They have a great product. Whatever needs to get this out, I need to like bulldoze through it.
really great point. Yes, 100%. If it's for anyone else, I will fight tooth and nail.
Right. So now your standards for fighting for other people are up
Hmm.
here.
Right.
Your standards for fighting for yourself are way down here.
Hmm.
Now, that's not because you don't have inherent worth or not because you don't have expertise. You have proven expertise.
Yes.
But the thing is, oftentimes when I see this pattern, it's like I work so hard for here so that I can be validated and ensure that like I'm doing a good job here. But
Hmm.
then when it's for myself, it's like, ooh, but it's
Yeah.
just me.
Hmm.
Where's the permission? Where's the validation? Where's all of the things? So what lands for you there?
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a ongoing pattern in my life. Being a people pleaser in the past. having to, I don't know, being an oldest sibling, just lots of ways I've shown up for other people in my life a lot more. And yeah, working in corporate for me was, a good paycheck, health insurance, great promise of career and wealth and a corporate ladder, but it sort of a time and again never was paid out or was fruitful the way it was promised.
Mm-hmm.
I talk a lot with people that I know about being in sales, for example, and this sort of dangling carrot that they would give us as salespeople, but then every quarter or every 6 months they just move the goalpost. So it was this always promise of rich and fame and all this stuff. You could make all this money if you do XYZ. And so I did XYZ, and then they just moved the goalpost and moved the goalpost. And I'm like, but that's not what you said.
Yeah.
How am I ever supposed to make this money you're telling me I can make if you keep changing all of the rules every 3 months? So I feel like I've tried a lot of different things. And I guess the other fear is trying something else right now. I need
Mm-hmm.
to sort of prove to myself I can do this one, this business, and
Well, I
then
mean,
move
are
on to
you
the next
making
business.
money in this business? Right. Like,
Not
have you
yet.
sold anything? Okay. Yeah, you haven't sold, like, you haven't consulted
I mean,
with.
I've sold pieces. I've sold pieces here and there, but I haven't, like, I'm not in this specific business.
So, okay, when we're
Like,
talking, just make sure we're
yeah,
talking about the same thing. So, are you talking about like the speaking and the things that I want to talk about with corporate America, or are you talking about like the branding for
the
service-based
branding.
businesses?
Yes.
The
Yes.
branding.
Branding for service. Yes.
Okay. So, and then just so I'm clear, so right now, like you're working a job and you're doing this and like the mom stuff, or you're just doing the niching, branding down stuff.
Yes. I'm just doing RhiVive Marketing now
Okay.
full time.
Okay.
That's
Got it.
relatively new. I was doing part time for the last 9 months. And so as of this month, I'm fully in it into RhiVive Marketing
Got
and
it.
not having a safe part time job that was helping me along for the last 9 months. I'm fully in it now for a branding agency. And so that's why that one is foremost, front of mind way to make money. But
Yeah.
I do feel like it's going to have a shelf life for me because I feel like I'm going to get burnt out again because I always burn myself out. So I
Hmm.
want to have that big idea, that future vision that is sort
And
of
the burnout
there.
for you, has that
Yeah.
historically been because of overwork, or has that historically been because of a lack of fulfillment?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
tended to overwork myself in especially, yeah, I feel like in corporate, these environments I'm talking about is very
Yeah.
much expected that you burn yourself out. It's a lot of churn and burn.
Okay.
And then,
So then there's a fear here that I'm going to do the same thing with.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Makes sense. And well, actually, okay. I was just gonna. Oftentimes, burnout is more like a lot of people that love what they do work ridiculously hard and
Mhm.
work long hours, but they don't actually burn themselves out. So oftentimes, burnout is more along the lines of self-fulfillment. And am I filling my own cup with this work versus I'm just like shooting myself into I need to do all of the things
Yeah,
to move forward, right?
yeah.
So whatever. Now that I shared it, what lands for you with all of that?
Yeah, I definitely feel like this business helping service-based companies is going to be and has already been infinitely more fulfilling for me as a
Hmm.
human than all those years, decades in corporate America helping large corporations because I feel very connected to the people that I'm helping and I can see actual tangible results for people versus, large corporations. And it's been really nice. It feels good. It feels nice to help people. And I enjoy the work. It is very challenging mind work. And I do
Yeah.
feel like coming up with brands for people and the amount of brain power it takes on each project is wearing. And I just sort of see myself as like, okay, it I see that having an end or a time where and I'm like, okay, I have to either hire more people or phase this out or whatever. It's just it is really challenging on
Yeah.
my mental, physical being, but it is the most fulfilling work I have done. So I do actually
Right.
enjoy it.
Okay. So then if we follow that, so what is it that you ultimately want? Like knowing everything we talked about today, what is it that you ultimately want?
My vision for myself is to be someone that is a speaker, selling from the stage, selling a book, talking about the big idea, and
Okay,
being
which
able
is
to help
let's get more
people.
specific. Which is what?
Well, right now, because we're believing that this is my big idea and that we're just going to go with it, is helping helping people navigate corporate America. And
Well, even do you believe that that is your big idea? Like, obviously, it can change. I'm not saying like this is the be all and end all of like your big ideas, but it's like in this
there,
moment right now, like, is that actually true for you?
there's something in there. There is
Okay.
that is going to be a big component of it. It just is because it's decades of my life and knowledge base.
Yeah.
But is that the fundamental like the thing I go with, the headline? That I don't know
Okay.
yet.
That's totally fair. Okay. Perfect. What else?
Um, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like there's a bigger reach of people that I feel like I can help.
Hmm.
And so that's the vision that I sort of see of myself. Whether that's doing coaching, I don't know, but I do know that a component of it would be writing a book and speaking about it.
Okay. Perfect. And does that feel like it's a pressing thing that you need to solve, or it's just like, okay, that's the general direction I'm heading in. I'm okay to do whatever, but it's not like a pressing thing to actually get to.
It's not pressing at this moment.
Okay.
It's the direction, and it's why I feel like today's sort of the start of that by me talking to you today as my first podcast. So it's I'm proud of myself for taking these first steps to getting there. And I also think that while it's not in my mind, I don't think of it as playing safe. I think of it as giving myself grace of like finding this flow and finding the time and finding this story that's in there and like
Hmm.
giving myself the the space to be able to have it come out. And I'm sort of, I guess, anticipating that things like this, these conversations are going to help pull it out of me,
Yeah,
where it's going to kind of unfold.
perfect. I think that makes sense. So it seems to me like, okay, where I am in this place right now is like, okay, so I gotta pay the bills, so I'll focus on my zone of excellence. Okay.
Mhm,
I'm recognizing that there's a lot of fears that end up working very subtly in me to kind of keep me, for lack of a better term, small, or let's just say not as visible or not speaking my truth to the degree that I want, right?
mhm,
They show up as narratives with regards to like, okay, well, can I actually help these people even as far as the branding, but also as far as like my story? Will anybody actually listen? Is this actually relevant? Can anybody actually even pay me for my story and all of my stuff? Right. And then they show up as feelings with regards to like, okay, well, do I really want to put myself out there in this way? What would be the right response from people hearing this? Who will I trigger? Who will I not? You
mhm,
know? And I know I have people pleasing tendencies, and I know they're kind of keeping me in this safe position where like, let me just stick to the thing that I know, right?
mhm,
Which also manifests as like when I'm fighting for somebody else, like I'll go tooth and nail, but right now my standards aren't really that reflective of that for me. Okay, here right now. So how does all of that land for you as far as like this is the landscape of what you're working on internally?
You've got me in 45 minutes. We've been on this call really well. You got it.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So does that feel complete for you as far as like mapping this out, or is there still something left outstanding?
No, yeah, I think you mapped it out exactly where I'm at and the the direction I want to go. And I know that it's possible. I believe that I will do it. It's going to happen. It's just not on that next level big idea yet, but I am also super excited about the progress I've been making on this marketing business, and it is fulfilling to help people. So I am enjoying that piece of it. And I wrote down, I'm starting to read Atomic Habits, but essentially the idea of like writing down your goals every day, right? And so one of the things that I'm writing down in my goals every day is just being present
Hmm.
as a mom, a wife, a business owner, and a friend. And I write that out every single day. And it just reminds me that that is super important to me right now and showing up as present for whatever that is. And there's definitely a way to go, but it's like I'm good with right now.
Perfect. All right, awesome. Well, in that case, if you want to let everybody know and close us off, like who's the best person to find you, where can they find you? Floor is yours for that.
Fantastic. So my website is RhiVive Marketing, and it's spelled like my first name, so it's RHI. RhiVive Marketing kind of shows my humor a little bit because my name is Rhiannon. And I'm also on Instagram and as Rhiannon Revives Your Biz. So, and my name is spelled Rhiannon, Rhiannon Franz. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And as always, we'll include all that in the show notes. Yeah, so thank you very much for allowing yourself to be seen and witnessed in this way. And for everybody listening, we'll see you on the next one.